All right. I want to start from the line that begins with the word umemele. That's just a line below the middle of that paragraph. Okay, you got it? Umemele. So we're saying that all the halomis and all the hagbolos of world, of the Shem Elokim, are not true halomis, meaning that the intent over there is not to keep the helem and that you should not be aware of the inyan of Elokus. Just the contrary. It is for the purpose of bringing down so that we should be able to be aware of Elokus, even at a lower level. Just like in the Seichel Horav, that when he explains things at a lower level, it's not because he wants you to know it on the lower level, but because he wants to bring down his Seichel to a lower level. And therefore, the Oyer Eliki, the Elikus aspect that comes to the Levushim Halomis, Hu Hoyikor, that is the main thing. They love Yadovuk, and this is what one that we have to be connected, and united with it by to fulfilling Klero mitzvahs. And I want to discuss this last line. I'm sorry, just 1 second. But I already started the class, I'm sorry. Yeah. Shall I call you back, or you? This is a private thing or not? Well, I'll be done about, let's say, can I call you like 5:45 or 6 o'clock? Okay, that would for a short while because I have to drive. Okay, I'll see. Okay. I want to discuss the Sinyan. That the Oyer Eliki hu hoyikor ve'elav yadovukum yuchad. By Kiyum HaTorah mitzvahs. This is one short line that says a whole lot. How can you be double to the Oyer Eliki if what you see is the Gashmi? Which means that it is necessary and it is possible for us to recognize the Oyer Eliki through the Gashmi, through the Hagbolas, through the Hagshomas, as stated. And when we recognize it, this is what we have to make an emphasis on. This is what we have to relate to, and not to the Hagbolah. For instance, this cup is standing here. But Gashmi, the cup is standing here. It's standing because it has a base, and there's a table, and there is what they call the force of the gravity, and it stands. So somebody asks you, why is the cup here? What will be your answer? You won't say because of this gravity, because the table is holding it. That would be stupid. It's not a lie. It's true. But it's not at the seichel. The seichel doesn't relate to that. The seichel relates to the reason why it's there, not how it is physically standing there. What is the meaning? What is the message of it standing there? Not how it's standing there physically. The same, and this is what it means, we have to relate to the key aspect. When the sun rises in the morning and it gives light, so physically, there's a physical phenomenon in this. And physically, it's conceivable that the goyim are right, the earth turns and the sun rises. But is that what the message of this is? Then it is a phenomenon, a huge phenomenon. Phenomenon means a huge inyan, big inyan, without message. What actually is happening is simple, totally insignificant physical thing. And the real big thing that happens, you have to ignore. That's not the real thing. Which is the real thing? The real thing is that the sun is rising and giving light and making day, or is it just the physical movement? Which is it? What is the seichel hodom? Where is a person? What does a person focus on? What is a person supposed to notice and relate to? Supposed to notice the godly message. He creates day and night. Not that he makes the earth turn or the sun move. When we look at the world from this perspective, from the godly perspective, then we begin to understand the principles of Torah and mitzvahs.
I don't think I fully understand what this is saying.
Then mitzvahs begin to make sense.
What is going on?
And then you connect to it through Torah and mitzvahs. There's a day and night, day and night, day and night. And then 6 days pass. One day just like the next. And then comes a 7th day. And it's all one single cycle. It looks identical. Physically, it looks all the same. So if you look at it from a physical perspective, nothing happens. The day is not a day, the night is not a night. It's nothing. But if you look at it correctly, something is happening over here. Why is there day and night? Why is there this cycle? Who made it? Who put it there? Who put this cup here? The whole thing is to show you, this whole cycle is to show you that there is a creator. Then you recognize the cycle of creation, the daily cycle, the day and night, and the weekly cycle. And then comes Shabbos. You recognize from this perspective, it makes perfect good sense. From a physical perspective, it says one day is like the next. But from a perspective of a creator, of a godly perspective, it makes perfect good sense. That now you have to recognize, it elevates. It goes back to its source. It's something is happening. It's not just a meaningless fact. In this way, you see the whole world. You see everything in the world is actually revealing, teaching you something about the godly presence in the world, the godly message in the world. This is what he says in these words. Being that the union of Shem Elikim, the Halomis V'Hesterim, are not actually concealing completely and keeping the Oyer Eliki out, but rather it brings the Oyer Eliki, but at a low level. So, if you have wisdom, you don't say the cup is standing there because there's a table. The cup is standing there because somebody put it down. And that's the message. What is it doing here? This is the same thing. You know, there's a watch here. Oh, it's a nice watch. Let me take it. A watch is a watch is a watch. No, the watch is not just a watch. It belongs to somebody. The reason it exists is because it belongs to somebody. That's the most important part of it, not the physical thing. This way, the whole world, the whole perspective changes. It elevates to a meaningful perspective. There's a human level, that's what it's called. There's Seichel Anushi, and then there's Seichel Eliki. How you see the world from a godly perspective. And therefore, what should one seek to be connected to? To Oyer Eliki. By Teiro Mitzvahs, you connect, you relate, you become aware of the Oyer Eliki in the world, rather than the Gashmi. You put on feeling. The Gashmi is what are you doing? But the Ruchni is, there is a significance in this. Everything else like this. Ve'ein shum dover. Okay, we have them. Ve'ein shum dover, and there is nothing. Ein shum dover. There is no such thing. Hamoineya u'me'akev oisoi mei elokus. That prevents him from being close and related to Elokus. Nothing can truly conceal Elokus and prevent him from connecting to it. And if the obstacles are standing against him, to prevent from Teiro Mitzvahs, Yamoid ben Yisoyin Knegdom. He will stand up to this test against these obstacles. Shelo yiyelei shum menagid o menei klal, so that there cannot be any menagid, any menei, anything opposing or preventing from connecting to Elokus. This is a special moment, as we discussed previously, where he has a Nisoyin, and he stands up against Nisoyin. This is a special moment that when he breaks through, there's two different levels, as the Rebbe explained before. There's a level where a person recognizes the Elokus under normal circumstances, but nothing actually is opposing it, except that he has to use his seichel to understand the Elokus. Then there is something that comes and opposes it, that tries to prevent him, force against him. That's called a nisoyin. There's a big difference between when a person relates to a Elokus, it makes sense. even though I see the Gashmi, but there is another way of looking at the Gashmizik world. And way to, like we said before, there is a way to look at it from a godly perspective. And I choose to look at it from a godly perspective. That's one thing. And then when the Gashmi actually opposes him, when the Goy makes it difficult for him, so then the Gashmi becomes a real Metzias. Then it's no longer enough to say, I choose to look at it this way. It's not, it makes it difficult. He prevents it, he opposes it. You have to, in order to live in this world, in order to survive, you have to work. You have to have work and get paid for the work. Without that, you can't survive. You can't have food. You can't have anything. You must have a job. So that we understand. Okay, I must have a job. So even though that my parnosa comes from the job, but I recognize that it's not the job that gives me the parnosa. It's the Eibishter. It's Hashem. That's my own choice. To look at it this way, saying that it comes through the job, but it's Hashem who made it that I should have the job. And that's how I get parnosa. It's because I get it from the Eibishter. That's up to me to look at it this way or that. What if the job, the boss at the job says, I want you to work on Shabbos? That's for sure. If you don't work on Shabbos, I'm not giving you a job. So then, the world is opposing the Elokus. It's not just, it's up to me to choose how I look at it. Then in this situation, when it says without Shabbos, without working Shabbos, you don't have a job, then it becomes a much deeper hell of a Hester. It's actually opposing the union of Elokus. They say, forget about God. The job. Without a job, you can't live. If you believe in God, let God give you food. By me, if you want from me, you have to work on Shabbos. This makes the world, makes the Hakshama, the Gashmi, a real Metzias. And you don't see the godly in it. You can't correlate it. When you work and you get paid, so you say, okay, I'm working, but this is only a means, a keli through which Hashem gives me a panos. But when the keli goes away, he says, if not if you don't work on Shabbos, you don't have it. So then you don't see how this is connected to Hashem. You see only the Gashmi, only the world. This is called a Nisai. That even when Hashem, godness is completely concealed, the world goes against it completely. That if you should keep Torah mitzvahs, you won't have what to eat. Just the opposite. So you can't interpret as this coming from Hashem. Where is Hashem? Hashem is Him. This is a Nisai. And this Nisai comes to a person in order to touch in him a deeper strain, a deeper core, that even when godliness is completely concealed, he only sees godliness. Not like before, he saw godliness through the world, but now he sees godliness without the world, just directly. Even if the world screams the opposite, he only sees Mevash. He only sees Hashem. This is an Israel. This is why it elevates a person. There's a big difference whether one recognizes Hashem, because Hashem gave me my food. Thank you, Shalom, for giving me my food. Or Hashem, a person recognizes Hashem not without any manifestation, without any worldly connection, just because I recognize Hashem. And that's what happens in an Yisrael. This is what he says. Im alomes endim neged leneged melimneim etero mitzvus. Yamid ben Yisoy Knegdom, Shalayi Yalay Shumeneyam Menagitum Enea Klal. He stands up so that nothing can prevent him from Torah mitzvahs. And then as a result and through that process of Nisoyin, of said, Yavoy Oid Legiloy Oir Elyon Yoser. Then he comes to a completely different Giloy Oir. A superior Giloy Oir. Not a Giluya that comes to the natural world. Like I said before, Parnasa comes to the world, but the Rebbe gives it. But a Giluya, a higher oil that is not related to world at all, completely above world. Kaniskin, as we said before. On a simpler level, when a person learns Torah, he learns any part of Torah, Chumash, Gemara, Rashi, Chassidus, and he has a kasha. He has a kasha. You know what a kasha is? And he cannot find an answer to the kasha. He could say, the Rebbe didn't know what he was talking about. Look at this. Stiram kasha. Cannot be. Or he could say that there is a depth over here way beyond my understanding. Way beyond my understanding. And it's so deep that to me this is a kasha. And it's completely dark. It only shows how small I am and how great the Rebbe is. And how great Torah is. If one approaches learns Torah this way, this is the only way to learn Torah. One learns Torah this way. And then he reaches to a much greater depth in Torah. He only learns and accepts that which he can understand. And then when he's Halomis V'Hasterim, he rejects it, skips it. That's not the learning Torah. He still learns when he learns on the physical and his seichel level. But Torah is higher than his seichel. How do you get to the higher Torah? By learning, by facing up to Halomis V'Hasterim. And if I have a kasha, then I have to labor and never stop until I find an answer. And not chas v'sholem for 1 second to think that, yes, this is a kasha that refutes what it says. Okay. Omnom inyan hahaflogo. However, the principle of the union of hafloga, we said that the Mitzrayim was the tikkun of the Deir Hafloga. What is the union for hafloga? The union of hafloga is kishemafrid chas v'sholom, when he separates, breaks apart, chas v'sholom. He separates between the Shem Havaya and the Shem Elikim. He says Havaya is wherever he is, but here in this world there's only Shem Elikim. Zehu hepuch legamri. This is totally the opposite of the truth, or Havayahu Elokim, from the principle of Havayahu Elokim. And this is what it says in the Pasuk, by the Doir Hafloga. The Nase Lonu Shem. The Doir Hafloga, they said, they will build us a tower. But Nase Lonu Shem, he will make us a name. What is Nase Lonu Shem? Make us a name. Isa b'medrash Rabbah. Pasha Lamed Ches. Tony Rabbi Yishmael. Ein Shem Elo Avodah Zorah. Shame. In this pasuk, shame is Avodah Zorah. Which means the der Chet der Hafloga Hoyo Chet Avodah Zorah. The Chet der Hafloga was Chet Avodah Zorah. And the Nasa Lonu Shem, this name aspect, this is referring to the union of Avodah Zorah. What is the connection between the union of Shem and Avodah Zorah? Nasa Lonu Shem. The union of a name. When you have a complete thing, you give it a name. The union of a name is when something stands by itself. Like we said the other day, there is day and night, there is light and dark. Light is a function of light that makes you able to see. And then the pasuk says, "Vayikra Elokim lo oir yoim." Hashem called oir yoim. He gave oir a name. What's the difference? Call it light. What's the difference? Call it light or call it day? Light is only a function, an active thing. Day is a home, as a metzius by itself. In the world, like every person has a name. Behemoths l'havdil don't have names. Why? Because it's not, a behemoth is not there for itself. It's there for the service that it provides. Doesn't have a name. It has a functional name. It's a behemoth. It gives milk. It plows the field. It doesn't have a name for itself. Its whole metzius is to serve the person. But a human being has a name by himself. Because he, as an entity, he's here. His presence in the world is for himself, is a real thing. So within the world, a human being, every human being has a name. Then, a this person, this human being, understands with his seichel that yes, indeed, I have seichel, I'm a separate mitzvah, but my duty in life, the reason I'm here, and what gives me life, is to do Hashem's, to do Torah mitzvahs, to do Hashem's service. So even though I have a name, but my name connects me to Hashem, that I should do Torah mitzvahs. Not I have a name and I'm an entity unto myself. When they wanted to make a name, means here we stand on our own. We don't need anything from outside. We don't need anything from outside. We are completely self-sufficient internally, within ourselves. This is Avodah Zarah. We don't need support from Hashem. Because we are completely contained. We're friends. We continue to entertain ourselves. I will plow the field. You will sow. You will seed. You will cut. You will bake. You will cook. We'll have everything a complete entity within ourselves. We don't need anything from outside. This is Avodah Zarah. Even though it sounds like they were going to be friends among themselves, it was a very good thing. People are friends, but that friendship was not a kosher friendship. It was not a friendship. Friendship normally, what is a good friendship when the people are friendly? Because you realize Hashem made me, Hashem made you. So we're both Hashem's servants. And that's why this is so significant. But when their friendship is based on I'm serving you and you serving me, that's not a kosher friendship. That's Avodah Zarah. And that's what the Pasuk says. V'na'aseh lanu shem, we'll make ourselves a name, meaning we'll make ourselves an entity, a mitzvot that is so completely independent of everything else. And then we won't be spread across the earth. We will be contained in ourselves. Wherever we are, we'll be connected. Which means, that's what it said, you can't tell when learn the psukim that was Avodah Zarah over there. But there was a very deep Avodah Zarah. And that's expressed in the word Na'aseh lanu shem. Ready to go weiter? Bi'er inyan hu hinen is boil yil. We already explained before the Me'etzem Shem Havaya K'meishahu, that from the Shem Havaya itself, as it is, Lo Yehoyo Ev Sheliyas Mitzius Hayesh Mamush. From that Shem Havaya directly, as it is, it was not possible that there should be Mitzius Hayesh. Hayesh Mamash, a real Mitzius Hayesh. Even though the Shem Havaya, this represents the Koyach Haleki, the Elokus. But then the Elokus would be showing the truth of the godly truth, not the worldly truth. It couldn't be Hayesh from Shem Havaya. We'll discuss it again in a moment. Ki im hoya meir gilu Shem Havayim, because if the Shem Havayim would be begilui, lo yehoya ha'olam es yicholim lekabe. World would not be able to accept this v'hainu, which means, what does it mean? Wouldn't be able to receive. Shalehoya mitzius yesh mugbal. There could not be a mitzius of a yesh mugbal, of a finite and limited yesh. Yeah. The union of a yesh mugbal I'm looking for the proper illustration of this principle. I'm coming back to our cup. This cup, right now, it serves me because it holds my tea. Before it served me, it was in a closet, and it was a cup. Even though it did not serve any purpose, it was still there. That means that it was a yesh, it was just a mitzias, without any function. Just existed. Shem Havaya is a constant message. There is nothing but the Rebbe. So how can it be a cup doing nothing? If it serves a purpose, it serves a purpose. Otherwise, how can it exist? Just for itself, a yesh. What's it a yesh mugbal? If we say a yesh that's bli gvul, like the whole world, that's representative of Hashem, the infinity. It's something that is finite, and it's there only because of its yeshus, because it has mass, it has weight. So how can it be? This is contrary to Shem Havaya. What is Shem Havaya? Shem Havaya is Yud Kei Vav Kei. What does Yud Kei Vav Kei mean? It means that the oil is flowing, is coming from a source. Yud is Chochmah, and Kei is Bina, Vav is the Midas, and Kei is Malchus. So just like in a person, in order for a person to do an action, to do anything, it has to be high from his seichel, from his chokhmah and bina and das and the midas and until it comes into an action. Now, if a person is aware of this whole state, that what am I doing? What is the bottom line? The mitzias. Of course, I have a concept in my chokhmah what I want to do. Then the mitzias of the action itself could not be acted, could not be accomplished in a proper way. Let me explain. The Rebbe once said, Aaron HaKohen, it says, that Aaron, when he was told how to light the candles, there was a Migdash. So it says, Vayas Kain Aaron, Aaron did as he was told. So Rashi says that Melamed, and it teaches us the milo of Aaron, Shaloi Shina, but he didn't change, he didn't do differently than he was told. What's so great about not doing differently? He was told to do it this way, so he does it this way. What is Loi Shina? What's such a great milo? Shvocha Shel So that explains. The Shvach over there is something else. Shvach is, Aaron was told that he was Bahalois Chozameris. He elevates the lights, he elevates all the Neshomas Yisrael Amayim. He's doing such a great thing, he's elevating the Neshomas. And then he has to light the candle. He knows how great the accomplishment is of what he was going to do, and he lights a candle. How can it be? Then he will, when he thinks about the greatness of what he's going to do, he has to spill the oil. He'll be so nervous and so excited that everything is going to go topsy, going to go in disarray. To be able to contain himself and light the candles properly, exactly the way he was told, that's a big, big shvach about it. I was able to contain himself and do things right. Because if the whole oil that he realizes it should be begil, he should actually experience it completely, then it was impossible to do what he has to do. That Gil Shem Havaya couldn't be a Metzias Mugbo. Because Shem Havaya is Megala, the truth of Elokus. The truth of Elokus is Mevatel, the whole Metzias of Yesh. So, Yimikasa, we already discussed it before. Maybe we'll have a chance to come back to it again now as we are reviewing this whole thing. Hainu shelehoya mitzius yesh mugbo. Because Shem Havaya there would not be a mitzius yesh mugbo. V'kanal b'moshel. And as we discussed earlier, in the moshel the hashpos haseichel, in the moshel of hashpos haseichel, when the Rav is mashpia to the Talmud, she'im hoya horav megale etzem sichloi k'moi shehu, that if the Rav would reveal the seichel k'moi shehu, as it is by him, his etzem seichel, lehoya hamakabel yochel lekabel, then the Makabe would not be able to receive the seichel. The Etzem HaSeichel, we once discussed this Indian in Seichel, the three madrigas in Seichel, the Chitzenis HaSeichel, Pnimis HaSeichel, and Etzem HaSeichel. Remember that, Chaim? This is before you joined us. Chitzonis HaSeichel, Pnimis HaSeichel, and Etzem HaSeichel. So Chitzonis HaSeichel is something which can be described. Pnimis HaSeichel is that which gives the reason for the Chitzonis HaSeichel. Etzem HaSeichel is something which you see the truth without Seichel, without any explanation, just the reality itself. The Rav sees the Etzem HaSeichel. We mentioned before about the sun rising and going around in circles, so I want to use that as an illustration. We talk about the union that Hashem creates the world. The world is a godly creation. And there is three dargis, three different levels that we can relate to it at Pesach. The first and the lowest one, since there is a world, there is a Metzias. Somebody has to have created it. Didn't make itself. It's called Ein Dover Oise Asatz, which is called Chitzonis HaSeichel. In this Chitzonis HaSeichel, I don't see the maker. I don't see who made it. I only see that this thing couldn't make itself. If this has a printed page, the page didn't get printed by itself. Somebody set it up to print. Ein Dover Oise Asatz. Then there is Pnimis HaSeichel. That it's not just the fact that something does not make itself, but the fact is that this is a very complicated something. It's a page of Seichel. It has a composition. It has a seder, an order. Therefore, I could see that somebody made it. It's in the order. This order tells me that this didn't make itself. It's called Pnimis HaSeichel. Then there is Etzem HaSeichel. Etzem HaSeichel is where I don't need the logic to say it didn't make itself. And I don't need the proof that because it's complicated and couldn't have made itself. I see right away, not the thing itself. I see the human being that made it. Because only to a human being does this have any value. You understand what I'm saying? Without the human being, all this doesn't make any sense, doesn't have any value. So therefore, when I'm looking at this, I see right away the human being who made it, not the thing. Because that's where it has a value. The same thing is in the world. There's the world, that's a meaning there's a Metzias world that didn't make itself. Then we see the world, it's an orderly and organized thing. Sun rises, sun sets, and the whole thing. So it has to be some kind of a purpose, a kind of an order. Then we see that the world is altogether not world. It is a world that represents something that is greater than world. The fact that the sun goes around day in, day out without change. The fact that the sun itself doesn't change. That there is a whole cycle repeat itself. You know, repeat itself? Huh? This is something which is clearly, which we see the maker. We don't even see the world, we see the maker. See the koyach of the maker. This is called Etzem HaSeichel. The Rav, he sees the Etzem HaSeichel, not the logic that brought him to it. He sees the reality itself. He sees the elokus in the world. So if he's going to come to a Talmud and say, don't you see the elokus in the world? The Talmud will get all confused. I don't see Nikus, I see world. You have to show him where the Nikus is. So that's what he says. If the Rav should talk to the Talmud with his own notion, from the Etzem HaSeichel, then the Talmud will not be able to learn anything. He will be completely misbalbel. He says, "Shohi misbalbelin chushi hakam legamri." The chushim, the senses of the Talmud, the Makabel, will be completely confused because he sees a cup, he sees a table. He doesn't see a God. And then Melamed says to him, "No, don't you see God?" He says, "No, I don't see it." He will be completely confused. So in order to teach the Talmud and tell him about Hashem, he has to mitzamtzim his seichel and start talking from a logical perspective. Who put the cup over here? Did the cup put itself, or did somebody put the cup over here? Logically, step by step. This is the inyan from Tzimtzum of Shem Havaya. But if the Rav should be matzpiyah in the seichel, etzem seichel k'moishe hu, then the Talmud would not be able to accept anything. He would be completely confused. He's telling him, look at the world and you see God. He'll be completely at a loss. Hainu bitul hakelim shalek yadu. This will be mevatel his kelim.
What does it mean exactly? If somebody talking about it, Raf talking about something the student don't know, so he just gonna say, I don't understand it. What are you talking about?
No. It's true. If he just tells him like that, then he says, I don't know what you're talking about. Finished. But if he actually explains it to him without the steps, he can make him look at the inyan the way he sees it, without giving him the means, the kelim with which to understand it. Then he will be mevavel with the Talmud completely.
What's the example for this?
The example for this is, for instance, the fact that the sun gives light and it does not change, it does not diminish, doesn't lose its power. And the Rav says to him, if you don't have the proper preparation, let's say, see, the reason it doesn't lose its power? Because Hashem keeps on creating it from scratch. If he did not learn anything about creation before, he just focuses in on this inyan directly, he would be confused. First, he has to learn. No, there is a sun, there is a moon, there is a world. Then he asked him, how did it come to be, and that the sun was created for a certain purpose. And then he shows him that you see that there is a phenomenon that reveals to you this inyan which I tell you. The sun was created for a purpose, to give day and night, to make day and night. How do I see it? One of the ways I see it is that it doesn't change. If the sun was just involved in its own thing, just in its own thing, it would have to change. Just like you come to shul every day at 7:30. Why? Because you come to shul to do something. If you come to shul just for no reason at all, so one day you'll come at 7:30, one come at 8, one come at 7. There's no reason to come after at 7:30. If you come at 7:30, that means that there is a purpose in it, a specific thing, a reason why you're doing it. Exactly the same way. This is how you introduce ideas. You know what I'm saying? And then it grows to higher and higher.
So if the Rav tells something to the student and not explain why it is
He doesn't give him the kelim, right? He gives him the etzem hasechel, the way he sees it. And he sees it the way it is. He doesn't need explanations. Then he will be involved in talk.
The student will like, I don't understand nothing. Lose himself with the...
Right. If he understands nothing, if he doesn't see it, doesn't see it. But if he understands, but he's not able to hold on to it, to grasp it, then he'll be completely confused. You take an apple and make a bite. And you take a bite that's too big for your mouth and you can't chew. Right? If the apple is so big that you can't take a bite, then nothing happened. But if you are given a bite, but the bite is something which you can't chew on, then you're in trouble. You understand? So,
yes, he is grasped something.
Excuse me?
So the student, yes.
Because the Rav gives it to him. Because Rav presents it to him. On his own, he would not see it. But the Rav presents it to him. He presents it to him, he listens. So he sees something. But he's not able to make sense of it because he doesn't have the kelim for it.
Like he's like confused. He's like, all right, I see something, but I don't understand why it's like little kelim,
because the whole concept of a seichel that is not built, that's not composed of details, is something which is higher than the Talmud. The Talmud understands logic. You know, that's why we start from 2 times 2 equals to 4. You know what I'm saying?
It's taken from his kelim.
From his kelim completely. Right. The whole concept of speaking in terms that are living terms themselves, not limited terms, not physical terms, is something which he doesn't have a means to grasp it. It's Baal B'chushay HaTalmud. Like I pointed out to you, that if you want to pick up a table, you have to go to the edge of the table and pick it up. You can't pick up the table from the middle. If you're telling him, pick up the table right here. Here it is, here's the table. It's impossible. This is what happens. You give him the essence. This is the essence of the table. This is the edge. This is the limit. This is the Hagbola. This is the essence. You give him the essence, then he loses it. The Rab can think in terms of the essence. How does a person think of a table? A person thinks of a table of a board and four legs. How does somebody at a higher level think of a table? He thinks of a table as that which will enable us to sit and learn together and have our sforim in front of us. Something which is not gashmius, just the idea. Once you understand the whole idea, then you can think, oh yeah, you know what a table is? A table is not a board of four legs. A table is a real thing, what human beings use. But if you don't know anything about it, so you know what a table is? Something which enables us to sit and learn together. What can enable you to sit and learn together? Before we have to first present the Hagbola. And then you can say how it is used and so forth. Lo sigza. Don't steal. Don't rob. Something doesn't belong to you, don't take. Okay, I understand. If the Rab says to him, something that the Rebbeinu Hashem didn't give you, don't take. You understand? What are you talking about? Did Hashem give me this? No, my father gave me this. You have to develop the whole thing.
Student want to do right, want to understand, but you don't have a feeling, so you don't know what to do, what way to do.
He doesn't have a means to grasp. He's talking right away at the highest level and saying, like, Shigzeh is a mitzvah in the Aseres HaDibros. Same as Anoich Hashem Elokecha. What are you talking about? The first restriction is, don't take somebody else's thing. To understand the influence at Aseres HaDibros level, you have to prepare it. Okay.